So as Paolo mentioned, David Smith, I'm the Vice President of Development at BioCentriq. Been there just over 3 months now. And so kind of in this presentation, it's kind of a little bit of a reason as to why I joined actually, and why is there, another CDMO in this area, and why are we going to be doing something a little bit different to probably what you've heard from every other CDMO that we're competing with right now. So I think that the key bit there is around, unique partnerships, and the collaboration, and that's really at the heart of what we're trying to do. I think I've been in the CDMO arena for cell and gene therapies now for coming on sort of 10 years, and so I've seen a huge growth in that area, but I still feel there's a number of needs that aren't necessarily being accounted for by CDMOs. So who is BioCentriq to begin with? We were established in 2019, actually out of the New Jersey Institute of Technology, which really sort of got us going. And I think being within an academic center, it's sometimes quite hard to make that break into industry and really make an impact. In May of last year, so nearly coming up to a year now, we were acquired by the South Korean company Green Cross. That really gave us the legs to excel and really move into this market, and gave us some breathing space to say, what actually does the market need? Is it another CDMO doing the same thing, or can we do things slightly differently? So we have a specialization in cell and gene therapy, so that's the only area that we operate in, and a real sort of over the last 12 months, dedication to finding the best process development, analytical development, MS&T staff. And we're in the luxury of living in New Jersey, have some very large corporations nearby that have a number of even now commercial products. So when you look at sort of the staff in our rotor, they've been through those journeys and are looking to kind of give back into the industry now and utilize that knowledge to help other companies. So we actually have 2 sites in New Jersey, both with clean room capability, one in Newark, New Jersey, obviously right by a large airport that I'm sure you'll love if you've ever traveled through it, and the other one closer to Princeton, slightly south, about an hour south of there. So, we opened up with, we need to be a little bit different here. We can't be the same as everyone else. And so there's kind of 4 areas that we really wanted to kind of push into. And with all of these, it's all around flexibility, speed, and expertise, and joining those together. I think there's, a push to how does a CDMO support a commercial product? How do you commercialize therapies? But the reality is, more than 95% of our industry is in pre-phase 2 clinical trials. And so that for me is where actually the need is. The need right now is not on commercial manufacturing, it's actually on early phase. And how do you do that rapidly? How do you do that so it's not going to break the bank every time you try and do that? And how do you ensure that you embed the expertise within the process, within the analytics, and you do that in an affordable way, as I mentioned? So the top of the list there is platformization, and I think it's something that's grown within our industry in terms of, the quickest and easiest way is if you've done it before. If you already know what you've done and you've already got it and there's a blueprint, I think there's companies here, and I heard the other day the idea of bring your own cargo. If you've got a CAR T process, just bring your own vector. They can be similar. We can start thinking about how to platformize some of these processes. And so we're looking at, the CAR T space as a key one, the NK space, iPSCs obviously work very well for platformization at the early stage. MSCs is another one that we've built in-house capability to allow that rapid deployment. The rapid project initiation is one of just more around the resource that we've built and we've been able to build with the backing of Green Cross, is to have team members ready to go, pretty much. So one thing that really frustrated me previously was, as a client, as a partner, you assign your scope of work, and then it's like, well, we'll start in 4 or 5 months once we've onboarded enough staff to deal with it, once we've trained them up, so you guys just sit tight for 4 months. We didn't want to recreate that, so we wanted the staff all ready to go, trained up, ready to run with your program as soon as it comes in. IP is something that we have no interest in, of 100% service-based, so you pay for the service, you own absolutely everything. And I think that's crucial to keep the industry flowing, that there isn't IP locked up in certain CDMOs that, keep you locked into that CDMO partnership and really allow people to move and have the flexibility to go to what best suits their product. And then a hybrid team model. And I'll touch on this one a little bit more on the next slide, but pretty much is around how you as partners are welcome to join what we see as the BioCentriq family. And so really it's, as you as the experts, especially on the biology of the product, we want you embedded within our teams. It isn't a throw it over the fence to BioCentriq and we'll figure it out. It's come and join us. Come and work in our process development suites. Come and work in our analytical development suites, hand in hand in the safety cabinet, beside our own team. We're going to learn from you, you're going to learn from us, and it works in harmony to get your product moving forward. And then we have this throughout. So even within GMP operations, we have a quality system that allows you to be in the clean room. Does it allow you to touch the product and be in the safety cabinet? Not necessarily, but if you want to go through the extensive training that our operators go through, we're more than welcome. We'll allow you to do that. And we also use virtual reality as well in that. So the ability to set up calls, have you as the client call in, be able to see everything that's going on with the same kind of view that our operators get, to really start de-risking this process and let you see actually what's going in and have a lot more control over it, as opposed to handing it off and just crossing your fingers and hoping that your product's going to be successful at the end. Accelerating your product is obviously another key thing, and so we've designed all of the processes within BioCentriq to address the challenges that face early stage partners. A lot of that is speed, a lot of it is an awareness of the cost going into it, and really the efficiency and how do we reduce the time to get to that first in human and through those clinical trials. And so a rapid tech transfer. There isn't a reason why tech transfer needs to take as long. If you start looking at the regulations and you build a quality system that is phase appropriate, if you're just trying to do 10 patients in your phase 1 and rapidly get that through and into the clean room, there are a number of ways that you can do that in a rapid manner. And so that's the way that we've built our quality system, and that's the way that we've trained our teams and our processes to adapt to that. Similarly, with the process analytical development, I spoke about platformization and the use of the in-house knowledge that we have to help you speed things along there. And in even moving into the GMP operations, I mentioned the availability of, obviously, you as partners of ours to come into our clean room. Feel free to help train our operators if there's some tricky nuances to your process. But we have a cross-functional training team, very matrix style, but actually embed technical expertise throughout. So instead of doing a tech transfer into our clean rooms where the technical expertise then go back into a process development lab and work with the next one, we keep those technical expertise in those clean rooms with your product. We know that your first time going into a human, it's probably not going to go like the 300 times you did it in process development, and you need that technical knowledge to go with it so that you can adapt and ensure the success of the product. And so again, we built this hybrid model to kind of really help with that and create the best environment for your product to succeed. Alongside this, we built a number of technology partnerships, and crucially agnostic to technology. We want to use what's right for your product, and there isn't going to be a one-size-fits-all when it comes to technology. And these are a couple that are publicly known that I can put out here, but we go beyond just having the technology. There's one thing having the technology in the lab, there's another thing constantly using it on a day-to-day basis so the team is well aware of it. And so with all of these relationships and any technology providers that want to sort of talk to us, the way that we do is we train our team and we continue to use that equipment. We have application specialists to help identify the right technology for the right product and maintain that knowledge continually, as opposed to being trained on it, leaving it for 6 months until a client decides they want to use it. That's not the model that we operate under. So some fancy pictures, because I like pictures, just to kind of give you an overview of the technologies that we do have. You'll be familiar with a lot of these. Some of these are outside, but we are very technology rich at BioCentriq in terms of having a lot of these capabilities, knowing that we need to have this technology, we need to have the knowledge in order to help your processes move forward. So when it comes to suspension cells, everything from your Amber 15 down at the 10 mil stage up to a 200-liter stirred tank bioreactor sits nicely within our capability, and everything in between. And there's just a few examples that we have that really allows you to go all the way from screening, from the DOE, over on the left-hand side, through up into your clinical production on the right-hand side, and knowing that, depending on the process, there's different scales that we operate at. Adherent cell systems, obviously slightly fewer things that we can utilize. Obviously, there is the ability to use the tank reactors, microcarriers, things like that, but we also have, obviously, the beloved flasks that still arrive on slides, which is great. And then we also have the iCellar system. So through our partnership with Paul, we have expertise and work hand in hand with Paul to generate a lot of data for them in terms of being able to scale through from their nano to their 500 meter squared bioreactor. Analytical, very similar story to everything that you've seen on the technology side. If it's utilized within cell and gene therapy, we have access to it. Whether it's in-house, which the majority of things are, and we still obviously have outsourced partners for things like compendial sterility, mycoplasma, that we utilize, again, all with the idea of how do we make sure the speed is there? How do we make sure that when you need an assay, we can deliver it? It's not going to take, a long time to tech transfer. It's not going to take a long time to find the right partner to do that with. That's all sort of handled up front so we can move through fast. We have long-term partnerships. I touched on a lot of the top row. I think the other one that's important for us at BioCentriq is the memberships that we have. So projects within Nimble. Obviously, ARM is a crucial one. Have the luxury of co-chairing science and technology, so if you're not part of that, you should be. That's a great forum of which to kind of put ideas and hear about everything that ARM's doing across the world. And obviously ISCT, ASGCT, and Bio New Jersey we operate heavily within as well, within New Jersey. I think the other thing is the McKinsey. We have a digital capability center with McKinsey, so that's really focused on kind of lean manufacturing, industry 4.0. How do we take how we do it today, and as part of sort of a training course, move people to the knowledge of what is industry 4.0, how do we operate, how could we operate in the future. So that's another partnership that we have with them that's more around kind of workforce development. So what's the take home really? I think BioCentriq as a CDMO, we have end-to-end solutions, but really with that flexible, rapid, and efficient deployment. Yes, we have sort of the 6 dots that are shown there that, I think every other CDMO pretty much has very similar capabilities, but ours is really this focus on how do we do it flexibly, how do we do it fast, and how do we deliver, a process by which our partners need and desire and have them at the forefront of our mind, not to push them down into a process that doesn't suit them, but provide that flexibility for them. And with that, thank you for your time. I also have the handsome Chat De Silva as well, who's here as part of BioCentriq this week, so feel free to catch either of us as we roam around for the last few hours of the conference. Again, thank you very much for your time.